Hey, do you want to get a professional recording from your mic, but you're a cheapskate, so you only have a cheap mic? Well, stick around because in this video, we're going to share with you how to make a cheap mic sound professional. And just kidding, I know you're not a cheapskate. Mics are expensive. Hi, I'm Regan Ram with OrpheusAudioAcademy.com, helping you make better music and build your fan base online. And today, in this video, I got my wife with me. She is going to help me because she is a much better vocalist. So we're gonna record her on some cheap mics and try to get her sound not cheap because she is priceless. So the first step to making your cheap mic sound professional is getting a good quality recording the best you can with what you have. So I don't have a very good recording space. As you can see, there's nothing on the wall. There's no acoustic treatment. There's no acoustic treatment because we just moved in not too long ago and haven't actually gotten that set up yet. So what we want to do first is make sure that we are standing a good distance from the mic. A good measurement tool is to do the thing that surfers do, I guess, where you have your thumb on your nose and your pinky finger out, and that's how far away you want to be from the front of the mic or the pop filter, whatever you have.
What about if your hands are different sizes? Does that matter?
It's a rudimentary measurement. So that's about good. And then a lot of people, they'll have you sing directly into the mic, but it's good to have it be above the singer because that will help cut down on plosives, you know, the P and the B sound that isn't nice, and also sibilance as well because you're not blowing air directly into the mic. And if you're recording with a condenser microphone like what this is, even though it's a cheap one, they're still very sensitive, so they're going to pick up a lot of different noises, and you're still singing right in front of it. I mean, it can pick up stuff in other rooms in your house, so you're still singing very close to it, so you don't need to be having it right at your mouth level. It's good to have it more like at eye level or nose level, something like that. So that's about where you have it, and then yeah, you're a good distance away. So that's the first step. So next thing you want to do is gain staging. So you want to make sure that you're not recording at too high of a level with your mic, because if you do that, that can lead to clipping where the loudest sound is actually getting cut off because the microphone can't handle it. And that is a sure sign of cheap or amateur recording. It's not going to sound good at all. It's going to sound all distorted and clipped. So make sure that when you're a singer, or if it's yourself that's recording, you want to do a test run first, sing at as loud or the highest volume that you're going to be singing when you do the actual take, and then just keep an eye on the volume level on the track that you're recording on, and make sure that it doesn't get too high. Make sure it stays out of that yellow, and especially not in the red range. Keep it green, keep it at a lower level, because you can always increase the volume later in the mix. Yeah, if you have a pop filter too, or I have this Electron PF8 that kind of encompasses the whole mic because I don't have any acoustic treatment in my room, so that really helps kind of cut down on all the reverb, because there's a lot of reverb in this room. It's a really horrible room, need to get it treated. And then also just having a great performer really helps.
Listen to the rolling clouds, no empire of sky can keep us down. Their lights us with their lies. We stand and fight here at these heights.
All right, so now for this take, we're using a mic, but we don't even have a stand for it. I haven't used this mic in a really long time. I don't even know what type of mic. What mic is it? It's a Sennheiser something or other. No. Sennheiser E835. So.
Germany.
Das ist gut. Ja, der Hund isst ein belegtes Brot und geht zu ein Krankenhaus.
It's racing to the rolling clouds. No empire of sky can keep us down. Their lights us with their lies. We'll stand and fight them here at these heights.
All right, let's make these cheap mics sound professional now. So here we got the MXL and the Sennheiser. So we'll show you, I'll show you what they sound like dry first of all.
It's racing to the vermilion clouds. No empire of sky can keep us down. Their lights echo.
So that's that, and you can hear it's kind of thin sounding. Now let's compare it to the MXL.
It's race into the vermilion clouds, no empire of sky.
So you can see it's a lot richer, there's a lot more detail. That's the benefit of using a large diaphragm condenser microphone. That's definitely what you want to record with over a dynamic microphone. You can also hear in the Sennheiser there's some plosives in there because when we recorded that we didn't use a pop filter. You should definitely use a pop filter, but even I kind of did that on purpose so I can kind of show you some things you can do even if you do have some plosives. And then with the MXL, because it's so detailed, you are still picking up some room noise, even with that the Altron kind of eyeball thing that's covering it. Let's work on making these sound better. So let's start with the Sennheiser here. And so let's listen to that again. So it's kind of thin, and let's see what kind of noise we're picking up here too. So it's not too bad on the noise front. It's kind of the benefit of using a dynamic. It's not going to pick up as much noise because it's not as sensitive. So before we start really treating things, we want to repair as much as possible, anything that needs repaired. So let's look at that plosive.
No empire of
So it's right here.
empire of
So what can we do about that? Well, let's look at it in the EQ for a second.
empire of clouds, no empire of
So it's all this low end down here. So let's just start by cutting out that low end, which we don't really need anyway, and just see what that sounds like now.
clouds, no empire of sky.
So that's already making a big difference. We're not hearing as much as that low end. And you can see it's not really doing too much the rest of the vocals. Let's listen to it with and without.
Let's race into the vermilion clouds, no empire of sky.
Now that might be fine enough. I don't know if we need to go into any more detail with that. Let's maybe pull this back just a tad and maybe just tighten this up. So we're just cutting out that plosive.
No empire of sky.
So we hear almost, nothing there with that plosive. So we basically took that out. And now it is still sounding, kind of thin. So let's see if we can boost some of these lower frequencies here. And you got some basically raspier sounds up here in the 1K to 2K, kind of 3K range here. So we're going to cut these out.
Let's race into the vermilion clouds, no empire.
Then you got some sibilance as well. But I'm going to tackle that with a DeEsser.
Let's race.
So that's the S sound, the annoying S sound. All right, and then we're just going to brighten it up a bit, just have a little high-end boost here. And so this is what we got with EQ now. And we'll do it before and after.
Let's race into the vermilion clouds, no empire of sky can keep us down. Their light took us with their lies.
It's a little better, but now we want to take that sibilance out. So we have that EQ in there. And so now we'll find a DeEsser plugin, a DeEsser that I prefer by Waves called Sibilance. And so we're going to load the female vocals preset and see how that sounds. So then we can monitor it to hear what it's taking out. That's maybe a little extreme.
Down, the light took us with their lies. We'll stand and fight them here at this height.
It's a little better. Obviously, you're dealing with a lot of sibilance there because we didn't use a pop filter. So definitely use those. Now, we're going to go into compression. So this is really important for, really this goes a long way for making your cheap mic sound more professional because it's just going to be a more consistent performance. So that's what the compressor does, is it's kind of like an automatic volume knob where if things get too loud, it's going to turn it down. And it's also going to boost up those lower sounds in your performance. So I like to start with the Master Electro Firm. So threshold will determine at what volume level that the compressor kicks in. The attack will determine how fast it starts attenuating, and then the release will determine when it stops or how long it takes to get back to normal as it stops attenuating. And this is just makeup gain because we're going to be taking out volume here with the ratio here. This determines how much is going to be, how many how much of the sound is going to be taken out when it kicks in. And so we'll probably end up boosting up the gain just a little bit to kind of balance things out so we don't want to be losing any volume with this.
With their lies, we'll stand and fight them here at these heights.
So now that we're compressing it, I'm hearing a lot more noise and things like that. So we'll see if we can take out that noise. That compressor is pretty good where it's at. It's balancing things out, making it a more consistent performance. All right, so I'm gonna use my DeNoise denoiser tool for now. Another really great tool is RX. Although that is a little bit more advanced. So what you want to do with this is you want to have it learn from the section of your track where there is no performance. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to turn on learn and then just play it. So this is picking up the noise profile of this recording. And we want to stop it right before it starts playing. So we learned it. So this is what the noise profile is. And so I'm going to turn it on difference here, so we're just going to hear what we're taking out. Then we're going to boost this reduction. So now we're hearing what it's taking out. And we want to, in general, kind of get this noise profile line to be as straight as possible. So we're going to boost this up a bit, pull this down a bit, pull this down a bit. So it's a little straighter in there. So we want to make sure we're just getting noise here. Might pull the threshold down a tad. That's going to move the whole profile down a bit. And we turn up the reduction here so we get more of it taken out. So you can hear a little bit. So let's actually monitor what it sounds like for real here.
Let's race into the vermilion clouds. No empire of sky can keep us down.
Now, this is probably what I should have done first. I know I didn't hear a lot of noise at first there, but as we balance everything out with the compressor, we definitely heard that noise coming out more. You can definitely hear that just taking out some of that noise really just increases what the quality sounds like. And then you add in the EQ, you add in the DeEsser, you add in the compression, and you can see what this sounds like now with all these plugins in.
Let's race into the vermilion clouds. No empire of can keep us down. They'll lie check us with their lies. We'll stand and fight here at these heights.
So definitely much higher quality there. So now we're going to add in some reverb to make it fit with the track a little better, and I'm going to have it kind of playing with the music here now. And so the way I like to do this is I put it on a bus. So here I have bus 2 going to this towel reverb. And I kind of like the default settings here. I might reduce the high cut a little bit so the higher frequencies aren't getting affected as much. They're a little clearer. Otherwise, we'll see what this sounds like.
Let's race into the vermilion clouds. No empire of sky can keep.
So as we can hear, it's still a little harsh sounding here. So we might just pull down these frequencies as well and see how it sounds as we play. And we're also going to adjust our compression here because it needs to cut through the mix a little bit more here. All right, so now we're going to compare with the effects and without. I think you're going to hear a huge difference here.
Let's race into the vermilion clouds. No empire of sky can keep us down. They'll lie check of their lies. We'll stand and fight them here at these heights.
So that's pretty good. That's a kind of a good starting point for how you can go about making a cheap mic sound more professional. Is you're going to want to take out the noise that is going to be picked up there. You're going to want to EQ it to take out any of those harsh frequencies that you don't want, and also kind of boost the frequencies that maybe aren't as present. Then you're just going to want to make sure that you're cutting down on that sibilance. That's kind of just a big difference between a professional and an amateur, and then of course putting that strong compression on it as well is going to help. And then you finish off with some reverb, maybe some delay, and that's the process for going about making professional sounding vocals. Now let's go ahead and look at the MXL. So this performance is a lot more dynamic, but let's go ahead and go through the same process here. So it almost sounds like there's some clipping there, even though it's not showing it on the meter. And that's entirely possible because sometimes those meters aren't as accurate. So we're going to want to kind of do some declipping there. I mean, the best thing would be to re-record it. But I'm going to go ahead and use this, this RX plugin called DeClip, and we'll see if we can take out some of that clipping. So what we're going to do is just pull these down here, this little slider here to cut off the very top of the peaks here, which is where we're getting the clipping. So if we leave it all the way open, we should still hear it.
Sky can keep us down.
Yep, there it is. So we're just going to pull this down a little bit until we don't hear that clipping anymore.
Keep us down.
So that's pretty good right there, and it's only taking out this highest peak. So you can hear now, you don't hear that bad digital distortion clipping sound anymore. So that's pretty nice. All right, so now let's pull up our EQ again. And we're gonna go ahead and do this with the song playing, so that's the best way to do this, because you want to EQ and compress to the rest of the song, not so much in solo. All right, so I kind of did the same sort of pattern here. So cutting off, just rolling off the low end here that we don't need, boosting a little bit of the low mid frequencies here, then cutting some of the harsh here in the middle, and then boosting a little bit on that high end. We can get away with that with this mic because it's not as harsh sounding. And we lost a lot of these with the little shield we had on the mic. So we're gonna put those back in, but there is still some sibilance. So we're gonna go ahead and use our handy dandy Sibilance tool. So we're going to go ahead and DeEss it. So that's pretty good for now. So now we want to add some compression to this. So let's go back and let's add our compressor. And this one's going to need a lot of compression because there's a lot going on here, because it gets really loud and then really soft. So I'm going to use this RComp to just kind of grab the really initial loud spikes. So we're gonna have a faster attack, faster release, and I'm gonna have actually probably use a second compressor for a more smoothing kind of sound. So you can see it's not doing very much, it's only taking out that really loud section there. And then I'm going to use the CLA-2A, also by Waves. A lot of different companies have made versions of this to do a more smoothing kind of sound. So with a performance this dynamic, there's only really so much you can do. So we are going to want to probably do some volume automation in there. So we would just turn it up at this section here, it gets quiet. But for now, that is a pretty good step forward with that level of compression. It's definitely smoothing it out more. And now again, we are going to add our reverb to this. So even with all that, we're still getting some kind of sibilance peeking through there. So here is a really advanced thing we can do. We can open this in RX. So I can go to Edit, Open an Isotope RX Audio Editor. And I've got an older version of RX here, so it might look different for you if you choose to get RX. And so let's go back to that chorus, and you can kind of already see where it's peeking out. So this is the spectral view, so you can see what is going on. You also just can see that there's a lot of noise in here. So you can see this bright section peeking out right here. That is where that annoying sibilance is. We don't necessarily want to take out the whole section though. Let's just dim the brightness here. You can kind of see it's mostly right in here. So if I use my selector tool, I'm going to kind of just highlight this area here. And I'm just going to turn down the volume of this. So I'm going to go to gain here, and let's turn that down, let's say by 5 dB. That might be actually too much. So let's undo that and go 3. And even right here, there's some. I could also go in here and take out these breaths if I wanted to. Here, and we can just drop this by bunch. So it's basically taking it out completely. So I don't really need that. And that's another way to really make things sound a little bit more professional, is taking out all the breaths. So that's not bad. So we'll go ahead and we'll file. We will overwrite original. It's going to apply these edits to what we've just done here to the performance. And so now that it's saved, we can just exit out of this. And now we're going to see what this sounds like with our edits in RX along with all the plugins we've added here. So there we go, a lot cleaner. There's still some tweaking we could do to make it perfect, but obviously that is quite a way to go, quite a big improvement over what we started with when recording with a cheaper mic. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, go ahead and leave a like. Otherwise, if you want more tips on how to record and finish more recordings faster, I have a free checklist for you in the description below that walks you through my rapid mixing formula. So grab that if you want to record more, finish more high quality tracks faster. Otherwise, have an awesome day, and I'll see you in a future video. Bye.